Mr. Drum, Mr. Randolph.
Here.
Thank you. We do have a quorum. This time, we would respectfully ask that you silence all phones and electronic devices. If you wish to appeal any recommendation of this commission, appeals cards are to our right. If you wish to speak in front of the commission, we ask that you fill out a speaker's card with your name and address. Each side will be provided 10 minutes to present your case with 5 minutes of rebuttal. And lastly, at the end of a case, we would ask if you wish to discuss it any further that you leave the building, as if you go back into the back lobby area, it does echo into the chamber. This time we would ask you to rise for an invocation by Commissioner Randolph, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance by Commissioner Davis.
Gracious Father, once again, we come to you with thanksgiving and praise in our hearts for all the blessings you've granted unto us. Thank you for our families and the citizens of this parish, our government that we represent. We thank you for this commission, and bless us as we make decisions that's in the best interest of those that's in the audience and for the entire parish. And Lord, we ask that you continue to bless the sick and shut in here and everywhere, and all of our children, wherever they may be. And all these blessings we ask in your name. Amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
In our packets, we have the minutes from the May 9th, 2017 meeting. Address any comments, or Commissioner Randolph?
Motion to approve.
Motion by Commissioner Randolph to approve, second by Commissioner Dougherty. Any further comments? Please vote. The voting does not project on the screens as has for the last several meetings, so our secretary will call out the vote. Any nay votes, we will raise our hands and provide by name who they are.
It's 9-0, and if you vote nay, please keep your hand risen, so that I can record it.
Thank you. This is a public hearing. The public is encouraged to speak on behalf of or in opposition to any of the case or to provide information thereof. Entering parish right-of-way, servitudes and easements. Entering parish right-of-way, St. Landry Street and Low Davis Road, Ward 3, District 2. Request to enter parish right-of-way for the purpose of laying fiber optic cable. The debtor, Southern Light LLC. Parish Council District Representative, not applicable. Debtor requests postponement until the July 11th meeting. Staff?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, that case as well as the second case, both Southern Light LLC requesting postponement till the July meeting, pending working out a franchise agreement with the parish.
Thank you. Is the petitioner here? All right. Is there anyone in the public who wishes to speak in favor of the postponement? Is there anyone who wishes to speak in opposition? Seeing none, I close it to the public and I bring it to the commission. Commissioner Dougherty.
Mr. Chairman, I'd move to postpone until the July the 11th meeting, item 1 and 2 under entering parish rights of way, servitude, and easement.
I have a motion by Commissioner Dougherty to postpone items 1 and 2. We'll vote on them separately till the July 11th meeting. Second by Commissioner Willie. Any further comment? Commissioner Lauren, any? Okay. We will vote on the first one, postponement to the July 11th meeting. Please vote.
Motion carries 9-0.
And the second, just to read it in, entering parish right-of-way, River Highlands Boulevard and Echo Street, Ward 3, District 5. Request to enter parish right-of-way for the purpose of laying fiber optic cable. The debtor, Southern Light LLC. Parish Council District Representative, the Honorable Riker Toledano. Again, the debtor's requested postponement until July 11th meeting. Commissioner Dougherty makes a motion to postpone for 1 month. Second by Commissioner Willie. Any further comments? Please vote. Clear the screen, please. Thank you. Please vote.
I'm missing 2 votes. Motion carries 9-0.
Thank you. It was cleared. Minor subdivisions, 2017-691-MSP, tracks A1, A2, and E into tracks A1-A, A1-B, A1-C, A2-A, and E-1. Ward 1, District 1. Owner, BCS LLC, Surveyor John G. Cummings and Associates, Inc. Parish Council District Representative, the Honorable Marty Dean. Staff?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is a proposed, or actually for a revised minor subdivision request for a strip shopping center located in the southwest quadrant of I-12 and Louisiana Highway 1077. The developer, if you noticed, I passed out a map and a cover waiver request. They're requesting several waivers. I'll go through those. They want to reduce the private drive width, which is 35 feet by code, to 25 feet. They wish to waive the requirement to name the private drive. They also want to waive the requirement of a dedicated turnaround at the end of the parcel in the rear for, that is the detention pond area. And they also wish to waive the requirements of the minimum 1 acre lot size tracts, as a couple of the tracts are under 1 acre in size. The owner is proposing to reconfigure 4 tracts from an existing 5-lot tract minor subdivision that was approved by the commission back in 2014. However, the proposed reconfiguration will result in the creation of an additional tract and creates the situations where 2 of the proposed tracts, A1A and A1C, will not have any direct public road frontage that will require the road construction standards for a minor subdivision to be applied, and creates 3 of the 4 tracts under a 1 acre minimum requirement. Therefore, if the commission decides to approve the minor subdivision request, the following conditions should apply. Since the 2 tracts will not have public road frontage, the private drives accessing the proposed tracts, A1A and A1C, will have to be constructed to parish standards in accordance to Section 40-045, Subdivision Ordinance 499, which requires a minimum 35-foot right-of-way and a minimum and an aggregate roadway surface. 2, a turnaround must be provided at the end of the private drive. 3, a street name is required for the private drive. 4, all improvements on the tracks must be depicted in accordance to parish code on the survey, driveways, parking areas, etc. The waiver is required for the tracts that are under 1 acre in size as well. Therefore, if the commission decides to approve this request, a waiver of these regulations are required, and a 2/3 vote of the full membership of the commission, which is 8 members, is needed in order to approve pursuant to Section 40-100, waiver of regulations of Subdivision Ordinance 499.
Thank you. Is the petitioner here? Please state your name and address for the record.
My name is Scott Tabry. Address is 16564 Brewster Road. I'm here actually in representation for Robert Bruno, who is the owner. Today is his 37th wedding anniversary, and I think his wife wouldn't let him get out of that one. But I want to speak towards the 4 waivers that we're asking for. To reduce the private drive width to 25 feet. We see this often in commercial developments. If you look at, I think the River Chase development may have a few of the driveways that are 25 feet, not 35 feet. We have run auto turn exhibit showing a fire truck. If you look at the exhibit that you have, there's a fire truck run off of 1077 around the entire site and back out on the 1077, so we can still make that maneuver there if that is a point of the concern. The next point, waive the requirement to name the private drive. This is kind of back on the first point. This is really more of an access to a parking lot here. At the Nordalac development, just north of I-12, they have private access drives that are not named, but they access developments just as very similar to the way that we're proposing it here. Waive the requirement of a dedicated turnaround since the parking lot has 2 entrances and exits. I mean, I think that basically if somebody comes in off of 1077, they can make the full loop and get right back out without having a required turnaround. Fire truck can make that move as well. And then the 1 acre track, I think there's other tracks out here already that are 1 acres. We did the design on the Marucci Sports, which is 0.7 acres. So I don't think that's anything different than what's been done before.
Thank you. Is there anyone else in the public who wishes to speak in favor of the request? Is there anyone in the public who wishes to speak in opposition? Seeing none, I close it to the public and I bring it to the commission. Commissioner Casabon.
Yes, I'm very familiar with this particular development, and I see fire trucks. They come have lunch at Pizza Hut and stuff in the fire truck. So I agree with him that access to the fire vehicle is good. I don't have a problem with the other waivers. I'll make a motion to approve with the waivers.
Motion by Commissioner Casabon to approve with waivers. Commissioner Davis.
Yes. Are we talking about 3 waivers total?
It's I think it'll be technically 4.
4.
Okay, because I don't mind the waiver for the turnaround because of the street diagram and the 1 acre size, because we've done that before with highway commercial. And what's the other one, 2?
Reduce private drive to 25 foot from 35 foot width, and then waive the requirement to name the private drive.
Okay, thank you.
Second by Commissioner Willie. Commissioner Lauren.
I'm very familiar with this area too. I live not too far from there, and my question is, if you reduce the drive to 25 feet and a fire truck has to get not in the loop, but down the long leg.
So the long leg there, actually the access there is back to a detention pond track, and then the access behind that is an existing drainage easement. So there should really be no need for a fire truck to make its way that far back into the parking field.
What about delivery trucks that are coming in there, 18-wheelers and whatnot for track 1A, A1A?
An 18-wheeler can still make that move, and once he gets in, he can loop all the way around the track 1A building and get back out the same way that the fire truck would.
So there'd be no truck traffic on that lateral off the loop?
That's correct.
All right.
Commissioner Dougherty.
Yeah, I can agree with Pug, and I've seen too many 18-wheelers in subdivision I live in that's trying to make some turns and so forth, and it's just not possible. And your comment, if I understood you right, was that if there is a business that an 18-wheeler is going to get down to the A1C area, that they can make a turnaround. And I disagree with that. But I don't know what kind of business with looking at the detention area. I mean,
Well, so A1A, if an 18-wheeler came in there, he could come in, and he comes in there and then he can back up and get back out on there. There's no way for him to loop all the way around the way that it's laid out right now. If that makes sense.
yeah, I understand what you're saying, and it could be where he has to back all the way down. The other question that I've got, are y'all going to post no parking signs along that leg going down to the A1C? I mean, you're asking to go down to 25 feet.
Right.
And if you have parking for whatever reason, okay, then you got a problem.
Right. There will be no parking within that access servitude, so that way there's an access through there. Whether we need to stripe it out when that development comes, a no parking area, or...
You need to do something, because let me tell you, I've seen too many places where handicap is parked and it's striped off, and people still park in that striped off area. It's for van access. So you're going to have to do something and enforce it. on the 911 or renaming the drive, what is the plan for the A1A? I mean, is there a business there now?
There's no business there now. A1A would carry a 1077 address.
Okay.
Even though it's not on 1077.
It's going to have a 1077 address? That's going to be confusing.
Yeah.
You know, you've got to do something for 911. I mean, if you're going to try and use a 1077 address on A1A, that's not going to work. I mean, you're going to have ambulances, fire trucks, and even the police trying to locate a specific address on Highway 1077. And heck, it's you know, behind other businesses and stuff. You're going to have to name that. Whether you call it Mother's Loop or whatever, it doesn't make any difference. It needs to be named and approved by 911. That's fine. You're willing to drop that waiver? I mean, it's up to y'all.
No, I understand.
Okay? But I'll tell you right now, if you don't drop the waiver, you've got a no vote.
You know how we would address it? So if there's a business on contract, what we would do, what about referring to the business name within the 911 address? So if a fire, or if there was a fire truck or an ambulance coming, you would basically reference a business name in there.
I don't think you understand how 911 works. Okay? I personally think you've got to come up with a name, and I don't see the objection to naming. I mean, if everything was facing or up on 1077, it'd be fine. Okay, but it's not. You've got that one parcel there that is off of 1077. You're having a specific access to it. And if you don't name it, it's going to cause confusion. So it's up to y'all.
Trying to patch it in there.
All right, we'll drop that waiver.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Chairman, I'm sorry, I'd like to, everybody else speaking?
Yes, there are more.
Okay, I want to make a comment before the vote.
Okay. Commissioner Richard.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm looking at this map that we received today.
Yes, sir.
And on what we're calling this leg, I just want to make sure I understand. I know this is a pond and this is a detention area, is that correct?
That's correct.
So really, there's not going to be a business back here at all right?
Yes, sir.
When I'm looking at this line here, this 25-foot, and I assume that's to scale, it cuts right through an existing parking lot and through existing parking spaces. Do you see that as well?
I do see that.
All right, well...
And we will revise the plat so that it doesn't do that.
Okay.
Wait, would you explain that again?
Well, if you look at it, I'll just...
That was a question I had, but let him...
So what he's saying is, if you look at the little leg going back to the detention pond track and back to the back servitude, it currently looks like it cuts through some parking areas. If we need to, we will revise the plat to move those lines over and not, so the access servitude is not through the parking spaces.
Okay.
Commissioner Davis.
Is that also why you're reducing the 35-foot minimum road distance to 25? So you're not impeding on these parking spaces?
That is one reason why, but another reason why is for commercial properties. We've done them all over the country, and even here, we don't typically see 35-foot access servitudes through a commercial development.
And what is the type of material you'll be using for this road?
Either asphalt or concrete.
Any further questions? Comments? Ma'am, do you wish to make any comments? Because obviously I mean, it's fine, you've got a dialogue, but just to explain, you have to have 8 of the 9 votes of this commission to get your waivers. All right, that's what's going to, so if you can add anything to some of the questions that the commissioners have asked, you may want to do it, just as an abundance of caution. Commissioner Casabon.
Then I'll make an amendment to my, to exclude the, they have to name the street for 911.
Right.
So it'll be the 3 waivers.
So your motion with the waivers, one was taken off.
Taken off.
So again, your motion would still hold with the
Yes.
3. Commissioner Davis.
Just so we're clear then, we're really only granting 2 waivers then, because the end of the street cul-de-sac is really not needed anyway in this case because of the retention pond. Is that correct?
I'll defer to staff. Ron, do we need to waive that one as well?
I'm sorry, which one was that?
Commissioner Davis?
The end of the road,
Oh, yes, yes. You'd have to.
even though it's not needed because it's at the retention pond?
Yeah, you're required to have a turnaround at the end of any
No, I
parcel.
understand we're
Yeah.
required, but I just thought maybe after looking at this.
Needs to be waived, yes,
Okay, that's just to put it, that's 3 waivers on this one.
yes.
Right. Any further questions, comments? If not, we have a motion by Commissioner Casabon for the 3 waivers, and seconded by Commissioner Willie. Again, it will require 8 affirmative votes.
Excuse me, Mr. Chair. Staff wanted to make a final comment.
Thank you. Go ahead,
Thank
Ron.
you. It's not really a part of the minor subdivision request, but it is relevant to this request, so I will make those comments to put it on public record. Because they're reconfiguring these lots, when you reconfigure lots, you create landscape buffers on both sides of those lot lines, 10 foot, of course, depending on whether they're considered rear, side, or front. And if you look at that, where you see where the front parcel, which is tract A3, which is not a part, and it shows as a concrete slab, that southern end of it there, that driveway encroaches along the property line, so that there's no buffer being provided there. Also, the backside of tract A1A and also A1C, the 25-foot access servitude runs directly against those property lines. So again, they'll have to have 10-foot buffers there. So I would suggest that the developer work with us to try to reconfigure those access servitudes so that the buffers will be available. Otherwise, they will have to go through our variance procedure through our Board of Adjustments to ask for waivers.
So noted. Thank you. Any other comments? If not, again, we have a motion by Commissioner Casabon to approve with the 3 waivers, second by Commissioner Willie. It will require 8 votes. Please vote.
Motion denied, 7 yea and 2 nays. Commissioners who voted nay, please raise your hand.
Commissioner Lauren and Commissioner Davis. The motion fails. Correct. Motion fails.
The applicant does have the right to appeal to the council. If you want to get one of our appeal applications here, you can do that.
Thank you.
(2017-692-MSP), a 158.38 acre parcel into parcels A, B, C, and D, Ward 7, District 7. Owner, Oaklawn Land Improvement Company. Surveyor John G. Cummings and Associates, Inc. Parish Council District Representative, the Honorable Jacob Groby. Staff.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The owner is proposing to create 4 parcels from a 158.38 acre parent parcel. And since a private drive will provide access to only one of the parcels, parcel C, said drive is not required to be built to a parish standard pursuant to section 40-045 of subdivision ordinance 499. Therefore, the staff, since the request complies with all the code requirements, the staff has no objections to the proposed minor subdivision.
Thank you. Is the petitioner here? Please state your name and address, ma'am, for the record.
Pat Jones, 123 Oak Drive, Covington. I am representing Oaklawn Land and Improvement Company. They own the land that they're asking to have, and they've submitted the application for the minor subdivision review. It's called Parcel I, and as you see, it's be renamed. Large piece of land on Fish Hatchery, and I believe you have all the documentation you need, except that there was an error on the first survey that was submitted, and just before the meeting, I gave the corrected surveys to Mr. Keller, and so maybe you have those now.
No, they don't have the revisions, but it's a simple adjustment.
It's, the driveway was on the wrong side of the 20-acre piece and the 5-acre piece, so the corrected surveys are there.
Will that create any, Ron, that does not create any issue?
No, they're just
They'll just-
relocating the servitude, yeah.
Any further comments, ma'am?
I have no.
Is there anyone else in the public who wishes to speak in favor of the request? Is there anyone who wishes to speak in opposition? Seeing none, I close it to the public, bring it to the commission. Commissioner Davis.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Motion by Commissioner Davis to approve, second by Commissioner Lauren. Any further comments? And again, for the record, that the driveway should be on the other side. Okay. Again, a motion by Commissioner Davis. Commissioner Davis.
One question for our staff, though, on this. So the road's going to be on the northern side?
Correct.
Is that correct?
That's correct, accessing parcel C, yes.
Since there's nobody out there, I mean, the only parcel that will be actually have a resident will be parcel C, so I understand that's a private.
That's
and that's
correct.
fine. If someone moves into parcel B, does it then have to become standard, or can we still use it as a private drive even to access parcel B?
No, parcel B has direct frontage on Fish Hatchery, so there'll be no need to
Okay, I
use
was
that.
just wondering, what if that person decides not to access Fish Hatchery and go the other way?
They can't.
Thank you.
And I would like to comment, there will be a residence on both parcels, on B and A.
Any further comments? No, we have a motion by Commissioner Davis to approve, second by Commissioner Lauren. Please vote.
Motion carries 9-0.
Thank you.
Thank you.
2017-693-MSP, a 16.95-acre parcel into parcels A and B, Ward 3, District 3. Owner, Gary and Martha Casabon, Surveyor, LS Land Surveying, LLC. Parish Council District Representative, the Honorable James Red Thompson. For the record, as you'll notice, Commissioner Casabon has left the chamber. She will recuse herself. This is her family that owns this parcel, so consistent with transparency and ethics, she will leave and will not participate at all in the discussion. Staff.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The reason why a public hearing is required for this minor subdivision is that both parcels do not meet the minimum 300-foot width of public road frontage required for the A1 suburban zoning district. The owner is proposing to create two parcels from a 16.95-acre parent parcel. However, both parcels are short at meeting the 300-foot minimum lot width standards for the A1 zoning district. It should be noted, however, that proposed parcel A is over 10 acres in size, and at least 3/4 of the parcel is over 400 feet in width once you get back off the public roadway. If the commission decides to approve this request, a waiver of the regulations are required relative to the parcel width issue, and a 2/3 majority vote of the full membership, 8 members, is required in order to approve.
Thank you. Is the petitioner here?
Good evening. Kristen O'Keefe, on behalf of Gary and Martha Casabon, just requesting the waiver of the frontage, and since we're going to be splitting it in two parcels.
Thank you. Is there anyone else in the public who wishes to speak in favor of the request? Is there anyone who wishes to speak in opposition to the request? Seeing none, I close it to the public and I bring it to the commission. Commissioner Davis.
I have a question.
Yes.
I look at parcel A and parcel B. Parcel A, there's a little barn on it.
Yes.
Okay. Is there a reason why the barn is going to be left on parcel A and not parcel B and extend the 273.92 feet to 300, and at least you'll be in code with that?
Yes. The barn's going to stay there. There was a it's just the way the lines were going to be drawn.
Okay.
And it'll be an additional gift and donation to my husband and I. Parcel A will be a donation to my husband and I, and parcel B to my brother.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Commissioner Willie.
Yeah, I'm real familiar with this, and because of the size of the lots, and I don't have a problem with the width requirement, I move for approval.
Motion by Commissioner Willie to approve, second by Commissioner Davis. Commissioner Randolph? Any further comments? Now we have a motion by Commissioner Willie to approve, second by Commissioner Davis with the waivers. With the waivers, it will take 8 votes. Please vote.
Motion carries 8-0 with Casabon recusing herself.
Thank you.
Thank you.
If someone would give it Commissioner Casabon. Recuse. Yeah. (2017-694-MSP), a 1.948 acre parcel in the lots E, F, and G, Ward 9, District 13. The owner, Tammany Holding Company, LLC, surveyor J.V. Burks and Associates, Inc., Parish Council District Representative, the Honorable Michelle Blanchard. Staff.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The reason why a public hearing is required for this minor subdivision is that the 3 proposed lots do not meet the 1 acre minimum lot size standard for a minor subdivision. The owner is proposing to cut out 3 small lots from a 2,800 acre plus parent parcel in order to create 3 lots for the construction of single-family homes. And although the lots do not meet the 1 acre minimum requirement, it should be noted that the proposed lots are zoned planned unit development, PUD, and are located within a neighborhood of existing homes of similar lot sizes. It just so happens that the parent tract is not currently a part of the Lakeshore Estates subdivision development complex. Furthermore, said proposed lots are on a private roadway, Lakeshore Boulevard, and code requires that lots front on a public road. However, due to the fact that the Department of Engineering has inspected the private roadway and has confirmed that said roadway meets or exceeds parish standards for a concrete street, the staff would have no objections if the commission were to grant a waiver of this requirement. Therefore, if the commission decides to approve this request, the waiver of the regulations are required relative to the lot size issue and the public road frontage requirements, and a 2/3 majority vote, 8 members is required in order to approve.
Thank you. Is the petitioner here?
Yes, good evening. Wayne A. Collier, 1137 Marina Drive, Slidell, Louisiana. I'm attorney for Tammany Holding Company, LLC. And as a bit of quick background, the company purchased 2,900 acres of property in 1996, and for the last 20 years has been creating a magnificent subdivision of residential property on the lakefront to the east of exit 261 by the Twin Bridges and I-10 Slidell. The reason why this requirement is here for minor re-subdivision is that even though we have some nearly 500 similarly divided lots as part of Lakeshore Estates PUD and Lakeshore Estates subdivision, this last parcel was 350 feet fronting on the existing roadway that it meets parish standards, but we did not know at that early time how far we were going to go with the development of the peninsula. So we were left with 350 feet fronting on this roadway. We have purchasers who wanted to buy the last 3 lots in the subdivision. We normally in the past would have gone by meets and bounds, but we don't fit within the meets and bounds requirements any longer. So that's the reason why we need to have a minor re-subdivision and the waivers to permit us to divide this one 350-foot parcel into 100, 100, and 150 feet by 250-foot depth.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else in the public who wishes to speak in favor of the request? Is there anyone who wishes to speak in opposition? Seeing none, I close it to the public and I bring it to the commission. Commissioner Dougherty.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd move to approve.
Motion by Commissioner Dougherty to approve, second by Commissioner Davis. Commissioner Willie? Commissioner Richard?
Thank you. Mr. Collier?
Yeah.
I have no problem with the lot size and approving this. My only question is, obviously, you've got a PUD, you've got a subdivision. Do these lots become part of the subdivision, and will they have restrictive covenants and everything similar?
Yes.
Okay, so they are, it's just you just needed 3 more lots. I understand it. I just wanted to make sure they were part of it and had the same, we have to protect the other people.
Absolutely.
I understand. Thank you.
Commissioner Davis?
One other question, please. Will there be any shared drives at all on these 3 lots? Will there be like 2 drives in between lot G and F and then 1 drive on E and G? Or
No,
each lot will have individual drives?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay,
yes.
thank you.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, sir.
Comment, please. The staff had some initial concerns when this request was first submitted due to the fact that it's a very unique situation where it involves 2,800 plus acres. We were concerned as to how this would work, and again, with working with the attorney for Tammany Holdings and our attorneys and our staff, we felt comfortable with what this proposal is come down to. The attorneys for Tammany Holdings did indicate to us that they were willing to go further with the parish and actually start working on a master ownership map of this 2,800 acres so we could define and determine what these out parcels were and what's left over, so that in the future, if they want to come in development, we'll have an actual guideline plan to go with. Mr. Colley, can you, would you be willing to comment further on that?
Sure. We've been working long and hard with Ron to try and fit a previously square pole into a square hole. Well, since the Unified Development Code changed, we now find it necessary to take this 2,800 acre, very large parcel we started with and accept out everything that's been sold. That leaves us with a residual parcel. So once the residual parcel is in place, we don't have to come back to you for re-subdivisions. It'll all be a parcel of record.
Thank you. Any further questions? If not, we have a motion by Commissioner Dougherty to approve with waivers, second by Commissioner Davis. Please vote.
Motion carries 9-0.
Motion is approved. Petitions, requests, we have none. Entering the Tammany Trace, we have none. Revocations, closing review, we have none. Re-subdivision review, we have none. Dormant subdivision review, we have none. Tentative subdivision review, 2017-629-TP. Regalese Estates, Phase 3A-1, Ward 8, District 13. Developer owner, the estate of Frederick J. Seeger. Engineer, GEC, Inc., Parish Council District Representative, the Honorable Michelle Blanchard. Postponed at the May 9th, 2017 meeting at the developer's request. Developer requests postponement indefinitely. Staff?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. According to the developer's engineer, the developer himself has some issues or concerns as to how they want to proceed with developing the project, so they just want to go ahead and table indefinitely until they determine what they really want to do with the parcel.
Thank you. Is the petitioner here? Is there anyone who wishes to speak in favor of the request? Is there anyone who wishes to speak in opposition? Seeing none, close it to the public and bring it to the commission. Commissioner Dougherty.
Yes, I'll make a motion to postpone indefinitely, but I also have a just procedural question. So the question is, if this is postponed indefinitely, can the petitioner at some point in time request that we bring it back under the same case and everything?
Yeah, when I think about it, because we've done this before, I just didn't think about it right at this very second until you mentioned it. Yeah, typically, if you do it indefinitely, they can come back at any time they want, 2, 3, 5 years from now. So you might want to condition the postponement on that whenever they decide to come back, they have to meet current regulations at the time.
I will amend the motion to that they have to meet current regulations when they request.
We have a motion, and just to clarify that when they do come back, and actually it's a two-step they have to come back and meet the current regulations at the time, and to be put back on the agenda of the commission actually has to vote to put it back on an indefinite postponement. We have to actually grant approval. So the developer doesn't just make the request, they make the request to put it back on to the agenda of this commission.
I'll second it.
Commissioner Lauren, second. Any council would like to speak?
Ron, let me just verify, because I'm looking at the email that's in the meeting packet, that the applicant had requested a postponement indefinitely of discussion of this project. Okay, as you know, under state law, there is a limited time in which action must be taken on certain planning matters. Is it your understanding that the applicant here is requesting an indefinite consideration or postponement in consideration of this subdivision at this time?
That's correct. I believe the state law is based on if the commission themselves decide to postpone something without the developer's consent.
Well, it needs to be clear that, and that's why I asked you the question, that it is actually the applicant who is requesting this commission not to consider this subdivision tentative review until, like the chairman said, the applicant actually requests placement on the agenda again.
That is correct.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you for the clarification, council. Any further comments? If not, again, we have a motion by Commissioner Dougherty to approve meeting the current standards when it does come back onto the agenda. Second by Commissioner Lauren. Please vote.
Motion carries 9-0.
Preliminary subdivision review, 2017-678-PP, Beatico Creek, Parcel 3, Ward 1, District 1. Developer owner, Beatico Creek Preserve, LLC. Engineer, Kelly McHugh and Associates, Inc. Parish Council District Representative, the Honorable Marty Dean. Staff.
Preliminary plans and hydrologic study have been reviewed by this office, and an inspection of the site was made. It's recommended that the preliminary submittal be approved subject to the following comments. Informational items. A master drainage plan was requested September 8, 2016. The authorization was given on January 1st, 2017, with an estimated 45 days for completion. This plan has not yet been received by the parish and is required for review and approval prior to a work order being issued. Plans and specifications for the construction of the project's water distribution lines and sewer collection lines have not yet been approved by Louisiana Department of Health. No work order will be issued until all items are listed above are completed, and any additional comments that arise from further review are satisfactorily addressed. No maintenance obligation is required since this is a private subdivision. No mandatory developmental fee is required at final, in accordance with Ordinance 499, since a public hearing was held prior to January 1st, 2005. Revised drawings will not be accepted prior to the June 13, 2017 Planning Commission meeting to ensure that any additional comments established at the meeting can be incorporated into the revised plans.
Thank you. Mr. Marone.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Paul Marone on behalf of the developer of Beatico Creek. This is another small phase in the development. We are aware of the informational items that Mr. Watson just read into the record, and will comply with each of those. With regards to the master drainage plan, I spoke to Mr. McHugh, who is preparing that today. He advises me that we are about a week or week and a half out from being able to submit that to Mr. Watson and the rest of your staff for review and approval, and we recognize and appreciate that there will be no work order until that has been turned in and until it's been approved by your staff. So with that said, I'll be happy to answer any questions that any of the commissioners might have, but would request your approval of this phase of Beatico Creek and the 10 lots you see on the plat before you.
Thank you, Mr. Marone. Is there anyone else in the public who wishes to speak in favor of the request? Is there anyone who wishes to speak in opposition? Seeing none, I close it to the public, bring it to the commission. Commissioner Davis.
A question for staff. Because this is a PUD, the reason we can go to preliminary now from tentative 4 years ago, is that why we can do this? We have a tentative to preliminary within a certain time.
That's correct. As long as the plan does not change significantly, they can go ahead and follow through with preliminary.
Okay, so it was already, the whole green space was already calculated?
That's correct.
Okay, thank you.
That was done under the PUD.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Davis to approve, second by Commissioner Dougherty. Commissioner Dougherty?
Yes, I got a question, Paul. Just, you folks, your firm as well as Kelly McHugh's firm is usually very punctual in getting things done. And, it's really surprised me when I read the comment. It hadn't been submitted yet from 2017.
This is it's a unique situation and one in which I had to kind of get up to speed on myself, and I may look to Mr. Watson to make sure that the information I'm giving you is correct with regards to this. The request for a master drainage plan arises out of the fact that this development was originally approved under one engineer with one developer. That developer failed. The project failed, languished. It was acquired by the current developer, and Mr. McHugh came in as the engineer and brought the project forward. There is, because the original plan prepared by Mr. Cooper, the prior engineer, there are some differences between that plan and some of the changes or infrastructure that's been put in on some of these phases. The staff has requested that we put together an overall new master drainage plan, so it's very clear what's out there and what's on the ground, and that it's consistent with that approval. That has taken some time because Mr. McHugh does not have all of Mr. Cooper's prior documents, so he's had to go back phase by phase and put this together, which has taken longer than he had anticipated. But in talking with him again just recently, he advises that he is about a week or so out, and we are very confident that that will be in to the staff, and we have absolutely no objection to the work order being held until that is in their office and they've had a chance to review and approve it.
Commissioner Davis.
I would like then to go ahead and say I'll make a motion to approve when the Parish Planning Department approves the master drainage plan. Is that appropriate for this area?
I believe
that's exactly what Paul just said, right? That the master planning plan that incorporates this area will be given to the staff and approved, and then the tentative, the preliminary will be approved. Is that correct?
Well, it's like a preliminary would be approved tonight, subject to that comment.
That's what I'm saying. Subject to for your approval to the master drainage plan.
Well, subject to the comments.
Right.
So I think Mr. Marone elaborated on the comments.
Then it's the same thing.
And no work order will be issued until...
Correct.
Right, that's what we're talking about.
Right. So for the public, it's normally customary that the approval would be done subject to the comments. Mr. Marone articulated a little more detail as to the master plan, the master drainage plan. However, Commissioner Davis's motion would still be consistent with subject to the comments, and again, as staff has advised, there would be no work orders provided until all the comments have been fully complied to.
That's correct.
Thank you. With that, we have a motion by Commissioner Davis to approve subject to the comments, second by Commissioner Dougherty. Please vote.
Motion carries 9-0.
2017-638-PP, Oak Alley Meadows, Ward 3, District 3. Developer owner, Lonesome Development, LLC. Engineer, Sigma Consulting Group, Inc. Parish Council District Representative, the Honorable James Red Thompson. Postponed at the May 9th, 2017 meeting at the developer's request. Staff.
Preliminary plans and hydrologic study have been reviewed by this office and an inspection of the site was made. The following outstanding items must be addressed. On the grading plan, show section AA for track P1 will maintain a 10-foot flat section around the entire pond. Show that section CC for track P3 will maintain a 10-foot flat section around the entire pond. On the drainage layout sheet number 1, provide garden home lot numbers for all lots on the plan sheets that have lot numbers shown in accordance with the preliminary plat. Add garden home lot numbers to the lot grading table. Informational items, an approval permit or letter of no objection from all applicable agencies, including but not limited to the following, will be required: the Louisiana Department of Health, the Department of Environmental Quality, the Department of Wildlife and Fisheries, and the Army Corps of Engineers. The DOTD TIA acceptance email dated 5/12/2016 from Penny Lala does not conform to the phase delineation shown on this plat. DOTD approval is only for phases 1 through 3. Therefore, phases 4 through 6 will require an evaluation by DOTD, and no work order will be issued by St. Tammany Parish for phases 4 through 6 until DOTD has issued approval for these phases. All improvements required by DOTD must be constructed in accordance with the TIA acceptance email. No maintenance obligation is required since the subdivision fronts on Highway 190. Mandatory developmental fees will be required at final submittal in accordance with Ordinance 499 since no public hearing was held prior to January 1st, 2005. No work order will be issued until all items are listed above are addressed and any additional comments arise from further review are satisfactorily addressed. Revised drawings will not be accepted prior to June 13, 2017 Planning Commission meeting to ensure that any additional comments established at the meeting can be incorporated into the revised plans. The Department of Development Planning has the following comments.
The recreational plan and timeline for the creation of the amenities are acceptable to the staff.
Mr. Marone.
Thank you, Mr. Manella. Paul Marone again on behalf of Lonesome Development LLC and the Oak Alley Meadows subdivision. With regards to the 4 plat comments, the grading plan and the drainage layout plan, Mr. Wilson, our engineers here, we can and will comply with each of those in very short order. We also understand and have no objection to the informational items set forth in your staff report, so we would respectfully request your approval of our preliminary submittal for Oak Alley Meadows, and I'll be happy to answer any questions that any of the commissioners might have.
Thank you, Mr. Marone. Is there anyone else in the public who wishes to speak in favor of the request? Is there anyone who wishes to speak in opposition? Seeing none, I close to the public. Or, excuse me, opposition, sir.
My name is Timothy Burke. I live at 1124 Oak Alley Boulevard in the existing Oak Alley subdivision adjacent to this planned subdivision. When I filled out my speaker's card, I put down that I was in opposition to the development. Not exactly true. I do favor development of that parcel of land. 87 acres of really beautiful land. It's nice to look at. But I don't think the beauty of the land is enough of a reason to object to its being developed. Now, that piece of land there does give us some problems as it is, as it lays undeveloped right now. It's a breeding land for mosquitoes. It has lots of rats and lots of snakes, including some dangerous copperheads. A neighbor of mine who lives with his backyard abutting on that pasture killed a rather large copperhead in his backyard just last week. Night before last, while walking at night in the subdivision adjacent to that parcel of land, I came across another rather large copperhead. That's a problem for us, and a development like this would address some of those problems. The downside for us is that a development like this brings with it 2 things that we really don't like: a lot of water and a lot of traffic. In terms of the water, storm runoff, I looked at some numbers. And if an inch of rain falls on an acre of land, it brings with it 27,000 gallons of water. That's undeveloped land. Okay, if we have 87 acres, as we do, and that inch of rain falls on 87 acres, we're looking at 2,350,000 gallons of water that falls on that land. Undeveloped land, expect a 10% runoff factor, which means that 235,000 gallons of water runs off of that land after a 1-inch rainfall. And right now, that's what we're taking in our drainage system, which is Blue Swamp Creek, which comes off of that. And some of it goes to Rattlesnake Branch as well. But right now, that impinges upon our drainage right now in Blue Swamp Creek. Let's say the land gets developed. And looking at the proposed plat, we have 60 acres of developed land and 28 acres, or 27 acres of green space and ponds. If you run the math on that, you're looking at 963,900 gallons of water running off of that. Okay, that's too damn close to 1 million for me, and pardon my use of the profanity. That's a scary figure. But if you look at the developed portion of that land, you can expect 55% of that water to run off. And so what we're looking at is a 300% increase in the amount of runoff once that land gets to be developed. Now, right now, Blue Swamp Creek is running at its capacity presently. In the last 3.5 years that I have been in that subdivision, I've seen water in the street as many times as I've seen in 20 years in Metairie, 6 feet below sea level. It's something to be able to say. Now, to its credit, the developer has revamped the drainage and has given us a 25% reduction in the flow rate coming off of that land after development. We commend him for that. We thank him for that. But what good does a 25% flow rate reduction do you when you're looking at a 300% increase in the amount of water coming off of it? I suggest that we have a problem there, and that would make our problem bigger. And a 1-inch rainfall, I'm just talking about a 1-inch rainfall. That's a significant rainfall, I suppose, but it's not a great rainfall. And I think we need to be planning for more than a 1-inch rainfall. Okay, that's my water problem. The other problem is traffic. Right now, that piece of land and Oak Alley fronts on Ronald Reagan Highway, which is a bottleneck, which leads to another bottleneck, Collins Avenue, which leads to a choke point, which is a bridge over the Bogafilaya River, which leads to another bottleneck, which is US 190. Those traffic venues are crowded as is. Looking at the Reagan Crossing apartments, which haven't quite yet opened, you're looking at 288 more families coming into that corridor. Looking at Oak Alley Meadows, that's another 210 families coming into that corridor. And right now, we have upwards of 300 families using it right now out of Oak Alley. But we're talking about 500 new families that aren't there now that will be using those bottlenecks and that choke point. I don't know what you do about that. The nightmare scenario for us in Oak Alley is that the widening of Collins Avenue, which is being planned right now, is on track to take place at the same time as the construction of Oak Alley Meadows. That is a nightmare traffic scenario. We are the alternate route through that mess. So what can we do with all of this stuff that we're looking at coming at us? In terms of the water, the only thing I can think of, and I'm no expert certainly, but the only thing I can think of is additional detention and retention facilities. There's a lot of open land vacant for sale around there. Perhaps that could be condemned for the use of detention. Make recreational lakes out of it and leave a foot or 2 feet of freeboard for runoff to come in. Stock it with fish, charge admission to the fishing pier, do something, do whatever you will, but help us divert all those thousands of tons of water that will be coming our way. In terms of the traffic, I just don't know. But we're scared of that too. Anyway, I want to thank you very much for your kind attention. Appreciate it.
Thank you, sir. Is there anyone else who wishes to speak in opposition? Yes, sir.
Good evening. My name is David Campen. I live at 1649 Orchard Drive, also in Oak Alley subdivision. I've been there a little over 3 years, and in 3 years I've been through 3 floods. As Tim said, we flood all the time. We have constant concerns of water in our area. Now, I know I don't have an official U.S. government rain gauge, but over the last week, when we had all this rain all over the parish, I collected 8.5 inches of rain in 7 days. That's an average of 1 a day, and it doesn't go anywhere. As Tim said, Blue Swamp Creek is full. Mile Branch, which goes into it, is full. Everything is full. The city is trying to figure out a way with the Corps of Engineers and wetlands to clean these creeks and these branches out, but right now that has not been approved. So the more people and the more houses that get put up there, it's just going to get worse. When this was up to Covington City, I got up and spoke this very same problem that we said. At that time, it went in the newspaper that I was the one that put the caution on it for the city of Covington, so therefore the developer took it out the city and they went to put it to the parish. We can't afford to have any more floods. We have not had any in the house, I will admit. But when it comes like 2 or 3 inches from your garage, that's bad. That's all I want to say is we have lots and lots of water problems in this area. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Is there anyone else who wishes to speak in opposition? If not, Mr. Marone, 5 minutes for rebuttal.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. A few comments. With regards to the water and the traffic, let's start with the water. As you well know, and as Mr. Burke mentioned, you have some very stringent regulations with regards to how development can take place, what infrastructure has to be put in to address water, and you even have an impact fee ordinance on top of that. I will tell you that the regulations for drainage and stormwater retention in St. Tammany Parish are the most stringent in the state of Louisiana. Our plan before you complies with those regulations. In addition, this plan does in fact reduce the runoff by 25% on a 100-year storm event on the post-developed condition. And I believe Mr. Burke mentioned that. So that is significant. Again, this water that comes from this property right now, in its current state, the runoff of that will be reduced by 25% in its post-development state, and that's achieved obviously by the detention and retention facilities that you see in place. I would also point out to you that if you look at the plan before you, you will see that we have a large green area along the east side of the property, dividing Oak Alley Meadows from the existing Oak Alley subdivision. That's a CLECO right-of-way. That CLECO right-of-way actually acts as a bit of a dam. So the water from this site, by sheer elevation of the ground and the elevation of the right-of-way itself, does not flow from this way to the existing Oak Alley development. The water will be collected, it will be detained in the ponds that you see, and then it will be metered out. I appreciate the concerns of Mr. Burke and Mr. Companion, but I would respectfully suggest to you that the plan before you meets all of your requirements, the most stringent requirements that I'm aware of, and that we will ensure that it is built to those specifications, as will you, pursuant to through the final subdivision process. In regards to the traffic and Reagan's Crossing, our traffic impact analysis that your regulations also require has been submitted. It has been approved not only by your staff, but by the State Department of Transportation and Development. Those numbers, those traffic counts for Reagan's Crossing, since it was on the board and a known development, would have been included in those numbers that were generated in that report. All of that being said, having complied with both your drainage and your traffic ordinances, let's also not forget, and it is not insignificant, that on top of all of that, you have an impact fee ordinance. That impact fee ordinance requires this developer to pay significant funds at the time that final is given, before that plat is filed, to be put toward additional traffic and additional drainage improvements in a global system. So when Mr. Burke talked about other land and perhaps regional detention, I would respectfully submit to you that what we are asked to do is to handle what happens within our development, and we are doing that per your ordinance. But those impact fees, hundreds of thousands of dollars worth, go into a fund so that the global issues that are concerning him can be addressed. And so we are participating in that by the payment of those fees. And I just wanted to make that clear, because I think that is also a significant component to what we're doing. We are asked to address that which takes place within the boundaries of our property, and we are doing that. We are also asked to contribute to the greater good, to what needs to be done outside of the property, and we're doing that as well. So with that being said, we would respectfully request your approval of preliminary as submitted in accordance with your staff comments. Thank you.
Thank you. opposition, you also have 5 minutes of rebuttal of any additional comments.
Okay, I will agree and concede that the 25% reduction in flow rate is significant, and that the built-up portion along the eastern and the northern section of this, where that CLECO easement is very good for us, because prior to their changes in the drainage system, that water was flowing in that direction. And they've changed that, and we appreciate that. But once again, going back to the 25% reduction and the 300% increase in the amount of water coming off, that just means to me in net terms that more water impeding our drainage in Blue Swamp Creek for a longer period of time, giving us more back up into the subdivision. That is what appears to me to be the net effect of this. Once again, the developer has done as much as he can do in terms of the drainage and the water, and has made changes that we have asked for. Thank you. But can they actually do enough? I sincerely question that they can do enough to help us with these figures. We're talking about 4,000 tons of water coming our way, and I'm not happy with that. Now, we're talking about additional retention, additional funds, additional detention. I'd love to see that go in before the shovels hit the ground on this. The final point I want to make is that, and I've heard this many times before, and it's exactly true, all the regulations, all the laws, all the ordinances, all the standards are being observed. They are. And we have that 100-year flow of rainstorm that we're talking about. But if I've seen water in my street 3 times, that makes me 300 years old, and I ain't. So that's one thing that we have. Yes, we're obeying the law. Yes, we're obeying the standards. But reality is what we have to face. And the reality is those things are not adequate. Now, maybe we can't do anything about those laws, because if we obey the law, then we have to let this subdivision go forth. Okay? But I respectfully submit that those standards, those laws, have to be changed. They do not serve the public in their current iteration. And I will make one final observation, is that the city of Covington and the surrounding area has no official rain gauge. There are no official rain statistics. The closest official rain gauge that is being published is in St. Benedict, Louisiana, 3.1 miles away. That is significant in terms of weather and rainfall. As of last week, that thing went dark. It's no longer reporting. And so the nearest official rain gauge is in Abita Springs, 5 miles away. That is significant in terms of weather and rainfall. I submit that what we're looking at right now are figures that are not quite valid enough as what they have to be. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Is there anyone else who wishes to speak in the rebuttal opposition? If not, at this time, we close it to the public and bring it to the commission. Commissioner Davis.
I have a question for Mr. Burke.
Yes.
First of all, thank you for all that insight on that information.
Sure.
So if this development isn't developed, you're still having flooding problems, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Have you already notified your councilman about this issue?
Yes, and I've spoken several times before the council and the various commissions back in the city.
Okay, but you have actually talked to the councilman for District 3 about this issue, because it's the councilman who get this money, these impact fees, and delegate exactly what they need to do to fix for their constituents.
Both Councilman Wright and Councilman at Large, Councilman at Large, I have spoken with personally on several occasions about this.
Now,
I'm sorry, the parish, Mr. Thompson?
about the parish councilman.
Oh, no, I have not spoken with Councilman Thompson about that.
Obviously,
Councilman Thompson.
This would be beneficial to you, because they're the ones that actually allocate to get this allocated impact fees and are able to help the existing problems that we currently have in the parish with flooding and traffic impact analysis from these other ones. I would suggest you do that.
Okay, I thank you very sincerely for that. I do appreciate it, and I will do so.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Commissioner Willie?
Oh, Paul, I just have one question. Is Mary Grace Drive, is that a connecting road to Oak Alley subdivision?
Yes, Mary Grace.
That's the only connection
Yes.
to besides 190? So.
Yes, that is correct.
All right, thank you.
Commissioner Casabon?
Yes, I just want to assure you that Mr. Thompson has worked and worked and worked with the developer, that we have got to a stage that he is very aware of the situation when they found out that it was going to come into the parish. And this particular plan, I do know that he has worked with them, held them up, looking at the drainage, and he is very much aware of and is overseeing this. The drainage is what he is very concerned about, because I expressed it to him also. But I think with this plan and the number of ponds and detention and slowing it down, there hasn't been any place in this particular area to collect water at all. And I think with this particular subdivision and them aware of the drainage, the collection, the slowing it down will also benefit the city of Covington. And I know the city of Covington, my brother-in-law at one point was very, very concerned and active with this, that they're aware of protecting the city of Covington also. I think it's the best plan, that leaving it the status quo as it is, you're going to still flood. I think by adding, even though we're adding the homes, we're adding the infrastructure to be able to, like I said, slow down, collect some of this water. I'm going to make a motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Casabon to approve, second by Commissioner Davis. Any further, Commissioner Casabon, any further comments?
No.
Any further comments? If not, we have a motion by Commissioner Casabon to approve, second by Commissioner Davis. Please vote.
Motion carries. There are 8 yeas and 1 nay. Commissioner that voted nay, please raise your hand.
Commissioner Richard. Final subdivision review. We have none. Proposed amendments to ordinance 499. We have none. Old business. Ashton Park, second and third filings. Ward 8, District 8. Parish Council District Representative, the Honorable Chris Canulette. Request by developer to waive the T turnaround. Staff.
Honorable Commissioners, the preliminary approval was granted February 14, 2017 with the following requirement. The proposed temporary turnaround must be removed and replaced with one of the 2 following options before the 2-year warranty obligation will be released. A permanent cul-de-sac must be placed at the end of Knollwood Lane. It must be within the current footprint of the subdivision, or access servitude must be acquired from the adjacent property owner in which to place the permanent cul-de-sac. This may result in the removal of lots 139 through 142, or B, a roadway installed connecting Knollwood Lane back to Haas Road, or another way to provide a turnaround or to provide connectivity to eliminate the dead end. The developer, through his engineer, dated May 11, 2017, email attached, is now requesting that a T turnaround be approved so as not to eliminate lots at this location. Attached are revised drawings number 13 and 35 indicating the T turnaround. The Department of Development Engineering has reviewed the drawings and has no objection to this change.
Question for staff. Request by developer to waive the T turnaround. And am I correct that the email?
He's requesting to put in a T turnaround instead of a cul-de-sac.
Okay. Representative for the petitioner. You state your name and address.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman. My name is Murray McCullough, and members of the commission, I should say. My name is Murray McCullough, 11328 Pennywood Avenue in Baton Rouge, and with Benchmark Group Engineering. And I did want to clarify, I'm glad you mentioned that. We're not asking to waive a T-turnaround. We're asking to allow a T-turnaround at the end of Knollwood Lane. Knollwood Lane is probably less than 150 feet or so long. It's not that long, and it kind of has an elongated cul-de-sac at one end of it, and then the T-turnaround at the other. And we just respectfully request that our request be approved by the commission. And I'll be glad to answer any questions, sir.
And again, that clarification is that you would like to be able to put the T-turnaround? A
permanent T-turnaround, yes, sir. In accordance with the drawing that we submitted to the engineering department.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Is there anyone else in the public who wishes to speak in favor of the request? Is there anyone who wishes to speak in opposition to the request? Seeing none, I close it to the public and bring it to the commission. Commissioner Randolph.
Motion to approve the T-turnaround.
Motion by Commissioner Randolph to approve. Second by Commissioner Dougherty. Any further comment? Commissioner Richard.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I don't feel super strong about it, but I really do not like these designs. I do not like T-turnarounds, and this is all in an effort to save a lot or two. I'm going to be voting against it, but I understand if my fellow commissioners want to approve it.
Any further comments? Commissioner Davis.
Yes, for the gentleman who was up here earlier. With this T-turnaround, you'll still have to put a dead-end street at the very offset of this? Is this still considered a dead-end street since it doesn't continue after that?
It's a no outlet.
Okay.
Yeah.
So they'll have to put a so they know they'll have to put a no outlet street, so people know. That way they don't even have to go in and turn around.
A no outlet sign, that's correct.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Just a point of clarification, staff. This is not granting a waiver, is it? Will not require 8 members' votes?
I do not believe so. This is just something that has been approved by the commission in the past, and it wasn't approved on the previous preliminary plan that was brought before the commission, so we wanted to bring it back.
So per se, a waiver, as we typically think of a waiver, does not require 2/3 of the entire commission?
No.
All right, thank you. Any further comments? If not, we've got a motion by Commissioner Randolph to approve, second by Commissioner Dougherty. Please vote.
Seven yeas and 2 nays. Commissioner that voted nay, please raise your hand.
Commissioner Richard and Commissioner Davis. Motion carries. River Heights Phase 4, Ward 3, District 3. Parish Council District Representative, the Honorable James Red Thompson. An act of correction to remove and relocate drainage servitudes. Staff.
Honorable Commissioners, the attached act of correction by Bruce M. Butler III, professional land surveyor, has been reviewed by this office and is acceptable. It's recommended that it be approved so that it can be executed by the parish president and recorded.
Thank you. Is the petitioner here? Come to the podium, state your name and address for the record, sir.
My name is Chuck Roget. My wife Sandy and I, along with our neighbors, Bill and Dee Schaefer, we bought a lot which was between our 2 properties. And we re-subdivided it. And in doing that, when we got the final survey, neither one of us noticed that on the survey they had left the servitudes where they were, the old servitudes. In the meantime, we had worked with Holly Thomas in projects and with Chris Tissue in development to actually move the ditch that was between our lot and the old lot to the new location between the larger lots. So the project is actually complete. The act of correction is merely to make the parish records reflect what's really there.
Thank you, sir. Is there anyone else in the public who wishes to speak in favor of the request? Is there anyone who wishes to speak in opposition? Seeing none, I close it to the public and bring it to the commission. Commissioner Richard.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I move to approve.
Second. Motion by Commissioner Richard to approve, second by Commissioner Willie. Any further comments? Please vote.
I'm missing a vote. Oh. Motion carries 9-0.
Thank you. Is there any new business to come before this commission? If not, we'll entertain a motion to adjourn.